Hi, everybody. I'm here to talk to you about San Jose City College Mental Health and Wellness Services. So let's get started. So my name is Elisse Reyna. I'm the San Jose City College case manager. A little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, both from San Jose State, bachelor's in psychology, master's in social work. After I graduated, I was an individual therapist for around 5 years. I gathered some hours and I became licensed. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker. My area of focus is mental health. So that's what I bring to the table, that knowledge. What is case management? Case management is a non-academic support service to assist students who are experiencing struggles or obstacles, challenges of any sort. The overall goal is to support students' academic performance. Case management is confidential and free. It is student-centered and individualized. So when I meet with students, the content of our meeting is going to look very different student to student, because it's going to be based on what each individual student is needing and what they're asking for. It is voluntary, so you have choice in whether you would like to schedule a meeting and whether you would like to continue. Every currently enrolled San Jose City College student has access to 3 to 6 case management meetings per semester, and I'm available every spring and every fall semesters. I also work closely with our 2 part-time mental health counselors, and I can provide direct referrals to one of our mental health counselors if that's the appropriate place to get your mental health needs met. Any student could benefit from having a discussion with me around their needs and what they can do to support their needs. If you know that you struggle with managing stress throughout the semester or struggle with any aspect of your mental health, or if you know of specific resources that you are trying to get in connection with, but just don't know how to go about that, please schedule a meeting with me so we can discuss that further. Mental health and wellness is so important because we need to know how to take care of ourselves in a holistic way. Our mental health is connected to our physical health. As you can see here, mental health is a state of well-being where you realize your abilities, you can cope with the stresses of life, work productively, be successful, make a contribution to your community. So some things to consider, and we should be assessing these sorts of things on an ongoing basis, as everyone's mental health is dynamic and it can change based on our experiences, based on our stressors. So these are things that I want you guys to consider on an ongoing basis. What do you think about yourself? And do you like who you are? What is your ability to manage change and transition? Are you managing that change and transition easily? Or is that activating anxiety or fear? Is it really throwing you? What's your level of connection to others? And do you feel a sense of belonging, or do you feel isolated? What is your ability to express and manage negative and positive emotions? So full range of emotions, including uncomfortable, difficult emotions like anger, frustration, agitation, worry, fear, confusion. How do you feel about your life? Do you have meaning and satisfaction in your life? What do your relationships look like? Your relationships with friends, your relationships with family members, your relationships with romantic partners, with coworkers, with colleagues? And what skills do you have to manage hard times? Ideally, pretty easily, we each should have a set of things that we can do that assists us in managing in the best, healthiest way hard times. So quickly talking about different stress responses, right? Because stress is a part of life, especially as we get older and we're juggling multiple roles. We need to learn how to manage that in the best way. Also acknowledging that as students, you guys have unique set of stressors that you have to deal with on an ongoing basis. Think about how the semester goes. The beginning, some people struggle with the transition, some people don't, but typically the beginning of the semester is easiest because nothing is hit yet, nothing is due yet. And then around midterm time, that's when things start to get a little more frantic, a little bit more difficult to manage. And especially when we're ending that semester with a bang, everything is due all at the same time, and everyone is figuring out how to accomplish everything, right? So how are you able to manage all those things? Do you find yourself really struggling? Or do you find yourself being able to, in the midst of all that, still feel relaxed, still feel calm? So let's compare two stress responses: stress cycle, fight or flight, and rest and digest. So stress cycle, fight or flight, most of us are familiar with this at least a little bit. Think about a time that was really hard for you to manage and what that was like. So there was an event, there was a stressor, and for whatever reason, our brain interprets danger in that, and our body responds to what we are interpreting as danger. Our body feels tension, we have escalated heartbeat, we can feel upset stomach or butterflies in our stomach, and then our thoughts, our moods, and emotions are shaped on that, and our behaviors are shaped off of that as well. So in those times, we are feeling anger, anxiety, worry, fear, confusion, upset. And we don't want to feel those things, and we don't want to feel like we're in danger. So we're going to do what we have to do in those moments to get out of that situation, because we're just focused on survival and we just want to get out of that situation as fast as we can. Oftentimes, we're not making the best choices in those moments. The part of our brain that is responsible for logic and reasoning is not accessible. So we're making easy, quick decisions, and those usually are decisions that we're going to have some consequences out of. And then we get more stress. And it's cyclical. So if we can't, once it's triggered, if we can't find a way out of that cycle, then we're going to be living in chronic heightened stress, which is not good for our mental health. It's not good for our physical health. So compare that with rest and digest. Our body and mind can come back to rest and relaxation. Our body functioning goes back to its typical, and we can heal after difficult and stressful times. We are looking at the best, healthiest ways to cope with our stress. It's not changing the amount of stress that we're experiencing, and it's not stopping stress from happening, because that's not realistic. That's not the aim. It's just mitigating the stress, dealing with the stress in the healthiest way. And in the midst of all that stress, still allowing ourselves for rest and relaxation, because we need that. It serves a great purpose for us. Transition tips. I wanted to touch upon this because I noticed that in times of change and transition, that is also where we have a lot of heightened stress. So some easy things that you can do: plan ahead and be able to look for the stress. look for the transition and the change so that you can think about how you're going to manage that, and also give yourself more time to get things done, because when we are in heightened stress or dealing with change and transition, the things that we need to get done, it oftentimes going to take us a little bit longer to get those things done. So also thinking about what your daily life looks like, what a typical day looks like, and think about what flexible daily routine and structure you can give yourself that allows you to be productive, that allows you to get the things that you need to get done. But you're also approaching that with flexibility, because sometimes you're not going to have time for everything, and being okay with moving things to the next day as needed. We're doing our best to seek balance and to live a balanced life. And that is really important, because balance allows us to fit in multiple things in our day. We're not just focused on one thing. I understand that we have tasks that we need to get done, but our day shouldn't be just task oriented. We shouldn't be measuring the success of our day just based on the tasks accomplished, because we have many other things and many other needs that we need to get addressed. And we're also paying attention to when our life gets unbalanced. And sometimes we need to spend more time on academics and getting multiple assignments done at the same time. But we are doing our best to get ourselves back to balance, and we're not trying to stay in that unbalanced place for too long. We're making time to connect with others. We're not isolating ourselves. We're making time and space to check in with ourselves and our emotions on a regular basis so we can know how to take care of ourselves. We will put limits around news and social media. If we feel like it's getting too overwhelming, then let's, put a boundary. Let's take a step back from that. We can get information from reputable sources, so we're avoiding reacting to things that aren't factual. We are getting movement in our day. We're getting off the couch. We're getting out of our houses if we can, going on daily walks or whatever movement is easy to implement in our everyday routines. Remember, movement serves such a great purpose, because not only is it good for our physical health, but it supports our mental health, because it helps our neurotransmitters to fire those happy hormones. Think about that feeling that you got after that workout or that hike. And we're using coping skills on a regular basis. I just mentioned that word coping skill. What is a coping skill? It is any activity, any action that we can engage in helps us to cope with something, an uncomfortable situation, heightened stress, specific emotions. And we want to make sure that our coping skills are healthy ones. So in determining that, just think about, have you ever had a consequence from engaging in a coping skill? If you have had a consequence, I want you to take a look at that coping skill again. So either it's not a healthy coping skill, or the way that we're engaging in it is unhealthy. So for example, we can't just ditch our responsibilities because I need to focus on coping skills today. That's an unhealthy approach. These are just examples of different categories of coping skills and different types of coping skills. So many, many different coping skills other than these. Just wanting to give you guys an idea of expanding your tool sets and having easy coping skills that we can do in a moment's notice, along with coping skills that are a little bit more time intensive or maybe a little bit more fancy. Having a wide range of coping skills is important, and thinking about the things that are realistic for you to implement, because what works for me is going to be different from what works from you. So you just have to go on a little exploration process to see what are the things that are easiest to maintain on a regular basis and the things that you're getting benefits out of. A little note on distraction serves its purpose. It's a valid coping skill, but you just don't only want to rely on distraction because eventually whatever it is that you're dealing with is going to rise to the top, and it's going to continue to rise to the top until you do some work around working through that, processing through it. That's really important. I wanted to share about some specific coping skills, some easy to implement coping skills that you don't need any items for, and you can do no matter where you're at, and you can do it on your own. So coping skill, positive self-talk. This is taking a look at what your thought process is like, what is happening inside your brain, and noticing when that thought content gets negative and having a positive that can combat that negative. So here are some examples of some positive self-talk. You can also think of having positive affirmations that you can have as your go-to ready so that you can think about that, focus on that in a pinch. Remembering that if we can address that negative thought pattern, if we can move that to a positive place, that's going to bring calm to our mind. It's going to bring calm to our body because that is connected, and we're going to have a more favorable mood. And this is cognitive, obviously, because we're working with our brain. We can do this anytime, any place. No one's going to know what we're doing it, and it can be super quick. The next coping skill is deep breathing. So this is working with our body and bringing calm and relaxation with our body. Again, with the idea that if we can bring calm and relaxation to our body, our mind is going to follow, and it's going to contribute to a more favorable mood. So I'm going to share with you an easy deep breathing technique. It's called square breathing. So think about a square. A square has 4 sides. So this deep breathing exercise has 4 steps, and we're going to do each step to a count of 4. When we're inhaling with our nose, slow and controlled inhalation, filling up our bellies with air. And our exhalation as well is going to be slow and controlled, exhaling through our mouth. So let's try it. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. That was one round of square breathing, and you can just repeat that until you get the desired state of calm. Social supports. We need to continue to access our social support on an ongoing basis. I know that in times of distress, we often like to retreat within ourselves and have some distance from our support system. I'm going to encourage you all to watch out for that. We do need our alone time, but we also need time and space to connect with others and to get support and to share. So please try to do that on an ongoing basis in a way that's realistic and makes sense for you in your life. If you don't have people that you're comfortable sharing your emotions and being vulnerable with, I want you to consider utilizing community resources such as the text line. You can text 2741-741 and a trained volunteer counselor will text you back. They will help you move from a hot moment to a cool moment. And here's a community hotline that is open 24/7, free, that anyone can call. San Jose City College and community resources. A big part of my job is having some awareness around different resources. So let's talk about some. SparkPoint is offering an emergency rental assistance program. So you can email them and see if you qualify for that, as well as they provide financial coaching, career coaching, credit and debt coaching. So anything around finances, if you need to make a budget or just learn how to manage finances, they can support you with that. Financial aid, please complete your FAFSA or California DREAM Act so that you can have access to apply for the emergency grants. Here are some community resources that I would like to touch upon. Again, I shared about this earlier. Contact Cares Hotline, open 7 days a week, 24/7. Santa Clara County Suicide and Crisis Hotline, open 24/7, free, confidential as well. These are often titled suicide and crisis hotlines, but you can call for emotional support and connection as well. This is a Santa Clara County Mobile Crisis Response Team. This is a community resource that any adult in Santa Clara County can have access to. So if you needed support with mental health crisis intervention, with de-escalation, with resources, if you had concern about your own mental health or the mental health of your family member or friend, and you are unsure about how to go about supporting them, you can call and seek their advice as well. Mental health urgent care. This is a walk-in clinic that anyone in the community can go to get immediate support with their mental health. Bill Wilson Center is a community agency that anyone can call to get access to a therapist. They don't bill insurance and they do charge a income-based sliding fee scale for each therapy session. And Santa Clara Behavioral Health Call Center, that's the number that anyone with active Medi-Cal can call for a referral to mental health services. Thank you all so much for listening to me. That's the information that I have for you all today. If you have any questions for me or want to schedule a meeting, it's just as easy as sending out an email. Here's my email. Here's my Google Voice number. I am currently scheduling and seeing students on a daily basis. My fall hours are Monday through Thursday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Friday, 8:30 to 1 p.m., and I'm seeing students through Zoom. Also, here is my webpage. A lot of resources, so copy and paste it or search mental health resources on the San Jose City College webpage, and it's the first link. Thank you so much. Bye.